What's going on, Jerome's? Minnesota Vikings have been making a couple of under-the-radar moves, not really making a big splash in open free agency, but a couple in-house moves with significant ramifications. We wanted to go through and grade every single Vikings transaction this offseason as new general manager Kwesi adofo-mensah, new head coach Kevin O'Connell, just get their team together. And we're going to talk about this in a future video, but from the offseason moves, it's pretty clear that the Vikings and Kwesi and O'Connell feel like the Vikings were that close last year because not a lot of turnover, but we'll get into it. So, first move, not trading for Russell Wilson, F-. I'm just kidding. So, realistically, the Vikings weren't going to be in on Russell Wilson. They weren't going to be in on Deshaun Watson. So, it just sort of is what it is. And that leads into move number 2. Kirk Cousins extension. Yes, 1 year, $35 million, fully guaranteed, as well as the no trade clause is back, baby. No trade clause is taken away with the 2-year extension, but now it's back. So I think overall, I think you do have to give it an A. Where we talked about how Spielman and Zimmer had painted the Vikings into a corner where they didn't really have any options with the new regime of who was going to be quarterback without taking a significant step back. And since they do feel like this team is going to be viable in 2022, can win the division, can make some noise in the playoffs, Kirk does give you the best chance to win. It just is what it is. So it wasn't going to work with him at full freight, $45 million cap hit, and you can't add those void years unless you give them a little something, as you saw with Adam Thielen. So the 1-year extension, it happens. So I know some fans will give this an F-, but overall I think it's A. I think that it is the best choice for the Vikings. And it's so weird where Kirk Cousins, he does have his warts, but he does have his moments of brilliance. He was not the problem last season. And in the 2018 offseason, Kirk was the correct choice, where Keenum, I don't think you could have caught lightning in a bottle with him twice in a row. And Teddy, you had questions about the knee. The extension made sense. So, and also this extension makes sense. And, it's just really hard where it's the best bad decision or the least bad, whatever. Next up, Harrison Phillips signing. So I give it a B+. It's a little bit tough of a grade because I think Phillips is going to be fantastic as a versatile piece on this defense, playing nose tackle, 5-tech, 3-tech, whatever tech, all of the techs. But since I'm Asian, I'm a hard grader. It's like Asian parents. It's like when you bring home a report card, B, you're going to be homeless if you don't get A. I'm allowed to do that impression. Anyway, so Harrison Phillips, I think that he is a really good signing, and I think that he's going to become a fan favorite very quickly, bring some stank on that defensive line, both heart and hustle, both leadership, both everything. And then cutting Michael Pierce. Yeah, I'll give that one an A, where, man, I wanted Pierce to work out, but the fact is he played 8 games over 2 seasons, and with that elbow, tricep, whatever injury last season, it just, even when he got back on the field, he wasn't right. And even when he was on the field, beyond the splash plays of 2 sacks against the Bengals, the Vikings were susceptible against the run. Teams just ran at the Vikings with Pierce, with Tomlinson on the field, with Daniil on the field early in the season. I was flummoxed. Like, how can you run down the Vikings' throat when you have this much talent? So he returns to Baltimore. He got paid again, so maybe it'll work out for both sides. Next up, Xavier Woods signs with the Panthers. So we'll give that an A in terms of the Vikings letting him go. He did get, 3 years, $15.75 million. So giving him $5 million a year. Xavier Woods was fine last year. No. I'm not going to stand in the way of him getting paid. I hope that he has some success in Carolina, just not when he plays the Vikings. Well, I was going to say in the playoffs, but Carolina making the playoffs, man. And with at the safety position, you do have Harrison, who they restructured and kept. We'll talk about him in a sec, as well as Cameron Bynum is ready to start. It's one of those spots where it's going to work out for all parties. Now, Mesa Cole, who signed a identical 3-year, $15.75 million deal with the Steelers. He's going to step in and be a starter right away. The Steelers have a lot of issues on that offensive line. So I'll give that one a B- because I would have paid to keep Mesa Cole. Where Cole, when he was in at center, as well as when he was spelling at right guard, I think that he was perfectly fine last year. And I would have brought him back, but I understand his premise here. It's like, hey, I can go to Pittsburgh and I'll be basically guaranteed a starting spot. If I came back with the Vikings, I wouldn't necessarily be guaranteed a spot because maybe even the new regime would be like, hey, Bradbury, blah, 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 or rookie TBD or free agent. So even though if the Vikings would have paid Mesa Cole $5 million a year, I think that you're going to be starting him. I understand from his perspective, but I wish the Vikings would have held on. Maybe we'll get the restricted free agent Ryan Bates from Buffalo. Who knows? Next up, signing Jordan Hicks. So Hicks is a tackling machine. He's just an absolute vacuum. I think he's underrated in coverage as well. He can be a true 3-down linebacker. Plus, has a lot of experience as an inside linebacker in an odd front or a 3-4. So him and Eric Kendricks are going to roam the middle, and it's the end of the Anthony Barr regime. It is done. And Hicks is a great leader. He was team captain, line up the defense, and B, because he got him at a pretty cheap price. He is a little bit longer in the tooth, but if you can get 2-3 good seasons out of him, I think that this makes a lot of sense for Jordan Hicks. Next up, signing Johnny Munt. So backup tight end 2, tight end 3. As long as you realize that, hey, he's not going to come in and supplant Irv Smith Jr. He's not going to do this. He's not going to do that. But a lot of experience with Wes Phillips, who was the tight ends coach with the Rams. Experience with Kevin O'Connell, who was the Rams OC, as well as Matt Daniels, who was the Rams assistant special teams coordinator, now the Vikings special teams coordinator. So they love them some Johnny Munt. Next up, actually, this is going to be a twofer. Not re-signing Rashad Hill. Now, Rashad Hill's agent said that door is still open. Like Rashad Hill, for a stretch, was perfectly fine as that swing backup. I do think that Blake Brandel, who played quite a bit in heavy packages as that 6th offensive lineman last year, the 2026 round pick out of Oregon State, I think that the Beaver is ready to gnaw on some wood. We're funny. Anyway, so yeah, I think Blake Brandel's ready to be that swing backup tackle. Hell, Brandel might even get into the guard competition since they were theorizing about using him inside last year. Now, the new regime may see things otherwise, but we'll see. Also, not re-signing Dakota Dozier, where, yeah, A++++. Next up, tight end Tyler Gronklin signs with the Jets. So I'll give that one a B-. Now, I understand if you want to grade it higher because you have Irv Smith coming back from the meniscus, but he's a question mark. And Gronklin, you weren't going to pay Gronklin $7 million like you got from the Jets. I'm glad that he got the bag. So even though he was good last year. He was fantastic stepping in as tight end 1. Him and Kirk Cousins have some obvious chemistry, especially on third down. Move the chains quite a bit, targeting the pride of Central Michigan. So yeah, it's just unfortunate, but life does move on. Next up, safety Harrison Smith restructuring. Now, well, actually, we'll do Thielen and Harrison both restructuring. So keeping them both in purple, which I think was smart overall. It does kick the can on some of the guaranteed money, and also Thielen gets some new guaranteed money, $18 million guaranteed with a $9 million signing bonus. So keeping both of them with the Vikings as they do get into their golden years, I understand it. I think that Thielen probably has a better chance of playing. I think Thielen has a better chance of keeping his level of production up through 2 years from now, 3 years from now than Harrison, just because of the nature of the positions. But I think keeping both of them is a smart move, as well as freeing up a little bit of cap space. Again, that's another sign that Kwesi and O'Connell feel like this team is not far away. Also not far away is keeping Danielle Hunter. Now, they could still trade Danielle, but they went through the hoop of the $18 million guaranteed roster bonus, so he's going to get that either way. Again, the Vikings could still trade him because remember, the cap hit doesn't come in until that money is paid, and that money doesn't get paid until training camp when Danielle reports. But yeah, he is an elite difference maker on the edge. He's a guy that you want as many draft picks as possible to try and find a guy who is at that caliber. I'm not worried about the pec. I'm not worried about the neck, and he's going to be fine. Next up, re-signing punter Jordan Berry, A++. Now, this may be, I was like, oh, it's a little snarky because, it's a punter. But Jordan Berry was phenomenal last year. 2 years ago, Brent Skolquet, loved me some Skolquet, but he was bad. But the Vikings punting and coverage units greatly improved last year. I think a lot of that was Jordan Berry controlling his punts and not outkicking his coverage and working really well hand in glove with Dan Chisena and Chris Boyd, both as punt gunners. So, yeah, I think Jordan Berry, who had himself a mini career renaissance, having him back is really smart. Also, signing utility interior offensive lineman Austin Schlottman, B-. Experience with Modkins and Cooper and Riscotti, I get it. Yeah, but also you're signing him up is a 1 year veteran minimum, nothing guaranteed, no signing bonus. So he, as of right now, he's a camp body, and I think that he's probably a dog to make the roster. I don't think that you're bringing him in to be a starter, but yeah, I think overall it just makes sense. You do have to fill out the 90-man roster, and you could do a lot worse than Schlottman. And finally, tendering kicker Greg Joseph, which, I mean, obviously you're going to do that, where Greg Joseph, beyond the Cardinals miss, he was excellent. He was fantastic last year, and the Vikings have been trying to figure out the kicker position for so long, but finally got it going. Oh, also, keeping Greg Joseph and Jordan Berry and long snapper Andrew DiPaolo, so you keep that triangle of special teams authority intact for a year, where last year they were pretty damn good together, so it makes sense. But that's it. That's taking a look at grading the Vikings offseason moves so far. Where did we get it right? Where did we get it right? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.